Welcome to the tutorial on depreciation. Depreciation is the process of allocating the cost of a fixed asset. The example of fixed assets are property, plant or equipment, or building, plant and machinery. Whenever we are allocating the cost of fixed asset over the estimated useful life of the asset, that is called depreciation. Simply, depreciation is the systematic allocation of the depreciable amount. What is depreciable amount? Whenever we deduct the residual value or scrap value or salvage value from the cost price or acquisition price, then we will get the depreciable amount. I am repeating, depreciable amount can be found by deducting residual value from the cost price. And depreciation is the systematic allocation of the depreciable amount over the useful life of the asset. In the same way, we can also say that depreciation is the conversion of the unexpired cost of the fixed asset into expenses over a series of accounting periods, I mean the useful life of the asset. Generally, we provide the purchase price or acquisition price, that is called acquisition cost. The acquisition cost should be written off as an expense during the useful life of the asset. That means the portion of the cost should be charged against the profit as an expense. Otherwise, we will not get the accurate expense and accurate profit during the period. Simply, depreciation is the allocation of the cost of the fixed asset over the estimated useful life of that asset. What are the reasons of decreasing value of the fixed asset? The value of fixed asset may decrease due to the wear and tear for using the asset in the business. There is a efflux of time even when it is not being used. There may be obsolescence due to technological or other changes. There may be decrease in market value, or if there is any mines or natural reserves, there may be depletion. For such reasons, the value of the fixed asset may decrease. What is the necessity of providing depreciation or calculating depreciation? The necessity of calculating depreciation are, we need to ascertain the correct cost of production, because depreciation is one kind of expense that should be considered. Otherwise, if we don't consider the depreciation expense, the expense will be understated. Ultimately, this will be inappropriate for product pricing. And the second reason for calculating depreciation is ascertaining correct profit and loss. If the depreciation is not calculated for a particular period, expense will be understated. Ultimately, the profit will be overstated. And the third reason we can see, ascertaining true and fair view of financial position. If we don't decrease the value of the asset due to depreciation, then the value of the asset will be overstated. Then we can see ascertaining profit and loss on sale. For accurate profit and loss from the sale, we have to write down the value of the asset. Then we can see the need for providing or calculating depreciation is maintenance of capital. Capital is invested for purchasing fixed asset. If depreciation is not charged, the expired cost of capital invested in fixed asset will not be recovered. In effect, the business will not be able to maintain its capital. And the next reason for calculating depreciation is providing funds for replacement. A fixed asset is replaced by a new one after the useful life. If depreciation is not charged, the profit available for distribution will be overstated. It may be possible that the whole of the profit may be withdrawn during the life of the asset. In effect, the business may not have the sufficient fund to replace the asset. Another reason for calculating depreciation is making distinction between capital and revenue expenditure. We are aware that the buying of a fixed asset is a capital expenditure, but charging the depreciation is the revenue expenditure. If we don't calculate the depreciation, then it would not be possible to differentiate between the capital expenditure and revenue expenditure. Last reason we can see for calculating depreciation is meeting legal obligation. According to the obligation of accounting, rules of accounting or principles of accounting, it's a necessity to calculate depreciation as an expense, otherwise we are not following the accounting rules. For calculating the depreciation, we have to consider three important factors. We can see the first one is estimated useful life of the asset. We have to estimate the useful life of the fixed asset. We have to know the cost of asset, the acquisition price of the asset, and we have to know the residual value or scrap value or salvage value of the asset at the end of the estimated useful life. This is the one element or factor that should be considered for calculating depreciation, that is cost of asset or acquisition price of the asset. In calculating the cost of asset, we have to consider the purchase price of the asset as well as the import duties or any other taxes provided for purchasing the asset should be considered as the cost of the asset. As well as we have to consider the cost for bringing the asset to the location or factory, as well as to make ready for operation is also the part of cost of the asset. We can see the cost of restoring the site on which it is located, on which the fixed asset is located, should be also considered as the element of cost. So all the cost should be considered as the cost of the asset or acquisition price of the asset. Then useful life is the period or time duration over which the asset is expected to be available for use. Or we can say useful life could be the number of production or similar units expected to be obtained during the period from the asset. And whenever we can estimate the useful life, we can calculate the depreciation. And the other issue is residual value. The alternative name of residual value is scrap value or salvage value. This residual value is the value of an asset that the organization can obtain during the disposal of the asset at the end of the useful life. And we can calculate the depreciable amount of the fixed asset by deducting the residual value from the cost price of the asset. And we calculate the depreciation on the depreciable amount. And for calculating the depreciable amount, we need to deduct the residual value from the cost price or acquisition price. For Calculating depreciation, there are several methods that are used according to the suitability by the organization. We can see the common methods for computing depreciations are straight line method or equal installment method, diminishing balance method or reducing balance method, sinking fund method or depreciation fund method, insurance policy method, sum of the years digits method, annuity method, revaluation method, depletion method, machine hour rate method, production units method, depreciation and repairs fund method. So these are the methods that are used for computing or calculating depreciation. In the next tutorial, we will learn some of them. We are going to learn the calculation method using the available methods in the next tutorial. Thank you.